everyone, welcome back into the studio. It's Janice from Le Rue de Fleur. Today I'm going to do a little bit more talking about goals and sort of things that I'm going to be approaching here in the new year to help inspire you to get started with your creative practice as well. Last week we talked about all of the WIPs on my WIP list, so all of my works in progress, unfinished projects, specifically about quilting, and a lot of them involving my machine, right? So I have a nice space, this studio to come down into and work, and I spend a lot of time down here working, but I spend a lot of time also fooling around. But I don't always want to be down here secluded and away from my family, right? So like in the evening whenever everybody else is home, I want to be upstairs, but I don't want to be scrolling through my phone, wasting time, like doom scrolling, just inviting all of that negativity into my life. And I think a lot of other people are starting to feel that too, right? So like you need to protect your mental and emotional health, and sometimes that means walking away from your phone, but you need something to fill that void in your time. So I've seen a lot, and maybe you have too, about analog bags that people are doing this year to keep them off of their phones, and I think that's a wonderful idea. I am not going to use a bag, but I'm going to use a big like basket thing, because I think that works better for the type of projects that I have to put into it. But you can use a tote bag, and I will link up a few of the videos that I've watched that have talked about this. I know it's sort of a trend that's on TikTok, but I don't do TikTok. So there's that. So I'll link that so you can find out more information about other people's projects and what they're doing, their strategy. But just for my own, like I'm going to jump in with my own 2 cents and different things that I'm working on to maybe inspire you. You can also do a personal curriculum. So choosing a few things that you want to do to enrich your life moving forward in the next year. It helps you to be a little bit more structured. So sort of designing a plan of things that you're going to learn about and how you're going to learn about them. So remember, goals can be fun. They don't have to be like fix this or organize that. Those things are great too, and I make lots of those kinds of goals as well. But sometimes your goals can just be fun projects, like I want to make Christmas gifts this year. I want to learn a new skill. I want to read more books. So we're going to talk about all of those fun things that you can do to just personally enrich your life that don't have to mean anything to anybody else, right? It can just be for you. So for that personal curriculum and maybe for your analog bag, you want to think about what do you want to achieve, right? So maybe do a little brain dump, write down a list of things that you personally want to work on this year, or projects that you've started and never allowed yourself time to finish because you gravitate toward picking up your phone instead of picking up your project. So we're going to organize that stuff today. And something that helps me kind of get my head around different goals is this book. I really loved this book by Elise Blaha-Kripe, Big Dreams, Daily Joys. I think she is having her final print of this book, so I'll link it down below. But not only is it just kind of like a really beautiful read, it's really well designed, but it's really realistic about how to set goals for yourself if you're not really great at that, and how to make them fun for yourself. And it really goes through stuff, I think, in a super approachable way. So like I said, I come back to this and reread it every couple of years just to refresh my thoughts and opinions on goal setting for myself, my business, and all of that good stuff, my house, my family. I highly recommend this. It's a great read. It's a fairly quick read. And what I really like about it is you can go back to her archived blog and watch her writing the book and working on it. So that's kind of inspirational in its own way. So you might want to, step 1 for either your personal curriculum and or this analog bag is gather your resources. So one of those resources could be starting with something that helps you decide on your goals. You can also check out other books from your library to help you build up what you want to learn about. Get some ideas from online content creators and YouTube. You can also check colleges and universities. A lot of colleges and universities, as well as museums and libraries, offer a huge selection of free online learning resources. Some colleges post curriculum as well as have free online classes that you can do at your own pace. And it's kind of like auditing a class, right? So you can go on there and access those materials and self-guide yourself through something. You can also look toward local community organizations. I happen to work for my local council of the arts. There's lots of free resources there, as well as classes. So then once you choose what you might want to learn about or think about for the year, you want to gather all of those materials together. And that's kind of going to be a little bit of this analog bag situation where we're going to gather up the materials of things that we want to work on. But yours could be more study based. And then maybe you're just needing like your laptop or something like that to study. But you want to set aside some time that you're going to be studying. Don't get on there and like just scroll. That's why I'm not really going to focus on anything that would be on my computer this year, because I think it's just too easy to be prone to getting into like work stuff, emails, scrolling through things, shopping, doing stuff that is not the positive habit that we're trying to work toward, right? But you can look for those materials. You could take an online class, like we talked about. There's a Craftsy, Craft Bug, Creative Bug, those kinds of places where you can learn different things. Skillshare is a great place that if you want something where someone's going to guide you a little bit more. There's also kits that you could purchase and buy. I sell kits, so like if you want to sit down with sewing and make like little coasters, these could be great gifts. If one of your goals, like I mentioned, is making gifts for people throughout the year instead of purchasing things, trying to like reduce your consumerism and be a little bit more creative, I sell little kits. They come with directions and all the things that you need besides needle and thread. This would be something that you could stick in your analog bag and say, okay, I'm going to make this one for my niece or sister, and these are colors that she likes or a theme that she likes. These are like stars and clouds and moons and stuff. You could, if you have lots of fabric scraps, or you don't need to purchase something from me, you could cut it up and create a little kit like this. And I do offer kits currently in my Etsy shop, and I'll link that below. I'm also going to be putting up the instructions on how to do it for yourself, just a standalone in a new series of like more inexpensive patterns that I will be offering in my shop in the new year. So you can check that out. And again, I'll link that below. So if you're somebody that likes to sew, this could be a really great option to go in your analog box. So you might also want to decide on the parameters of where you want to start. What are some entry-level projects that you can truly achieve? So if you're learning something new, start small. Like I said, find yourself a little kit that comes with everything. This is a small, achievable project if you want to learn to quilt. You could even do these on your machine if you have a machine and you don't want to be sitting on your couch or whatever. That is a small, achievable project that you will feel like you've instantly done something good. You've instantly achieved the goal, and you'll hit it off right away with that pump of dopamine that will probably keep you going in your practice. How many projects do you want to have? Are you going to get overwhelmed by the assortment, or are you somebody that likes to bounce around? So you kind of need to think about who you are and how you work. So for me, I like to have multiple different projects. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to sit and sew, or my hands are sore. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to sit and read. I need to do something a little creative. Sometimes I just love sticking little pieces of paper together or stickers on things. We're going to talk about some of my projects that I'm going to be putting in my book. But sometimes I want to just read and be really quiet and be immersed in somebody else's thoughts and not my own. So maybe having different projects that you can jump around to works for you. Or if you're someone that just wants one thing to focus on, you could just have one thing at a time. that you're going to pick up and work your way through. It's kind of how you work. So that goes back to like the goal setting. Are you somebody that wants to achieve multiple things? Or you want to just do them for fun? Or are you having like a specific goal? Like I want to make, 10 projects for someone. I want to complete X amount of books this year, so I'm going to sit down and read. I want to create whatever your goal is. I want to create 10 little cards for my scrapbooking project in the next 2 weeks, or whatever you want to do. So it's kind of thinking about what is your goal, and then maybe writing it down and making it super intentional and putting that in your analog bag as well. And then when you're done and you've achieved it, take a little bit of time to go back and reflect on what you've done. Like maybe log that if you have like a regular day planner or something like that. Maybe write down what you've achieved. Like I'm really proud of my cover page actually. I keep a goal setting section in the front where I can write down ideas. You have a little space for doodles maybe. Here's my TBR thing that I'm going to talk about in a minute. Maybe other things that you want to keep track of, you can track them and write them down, and then at the end of the year you can go back and see all of the things that you've achieved, or at the end of the month, or however you like to track that stuff. But it's really good to have a little bit of time to reflect on what you did and what you were able to achieve, because I think that helps you want to keep going when you see the progress, right? How much did you make? Were you able to make those gifts? Versus, like sometimes you think, oh, it'll take too much time. But when you sit down and you chip away at it, maybe an hour a day, whenever you have like some fill space. Like for me, it's a lot in the afternoon before I have to start cooking dinner, but I'm kind of done working for the day, or I'm home from teaching or whatever, and I have like an hour that I don't really have any responsibility. So instead of sitting and scrolling through my phone, reaching for this basket, I think would be a lot more productive and healthy. And then how did it influence your feelings, your time, your use of your phone? Were you able to achieve that goal? So those are some things to think about as you either plan your personal curriculum. I mean, if I was doing more of a study-based curriculum, I could use that hour to read and maybe work through something or do a little bit of research, but it's all in what you want to do. So providing yourself a spot to go. So if you're using a basket, or if you're using a bag, or you're using a little night table that sits by where you usually plop yourself down, whatever is going to work for you, but choose something and then we'll be intentional about it. Okay, so now I'm going to go on and share. Yeah, I did make notes. I'm going to go on and share some of the things that I want to practice and develop in the new year, and what I'm going to be sticking in my little analog crate. Okay, so I flipped you around so you can see hopefully a little bit better what I'll be working with. One of the first things that I like doing, and I've gotten a little bit more into, is my day planner. So I love keeping a day planner, and I've had one for decades now, and I do like to stick stickers in them. I don't make them like as decorative as you certainly could go, but I think we can all say that's fairly decorative. I didn't like the opening page, so I used some scrapbook paper and some large numbers. These are actually from like to put on your mailbox or your house, so like vinyl leathers that I had from another project, but just to use them up. So it doesn't really matter, you can think literally outside of the box. Then I've made some different goal setting pages at the front, and I tore these out of a different book and punched holes and then just sort of popped them in so they go in and out like that. Not ideal necessarily, but it works. So I just have to be a little careful that I don't pull them out. For this kind of goes along with the other thing, and I'll mention this next, but I have a bookshelf bingo like goal set, so to read more this year, so that's living in the front of here. I will be working with my husband to fill in ideas about house projects that we want to do, and just having it all in one location is really nice. So I've been drawing all of these things out. I also am using stickers in my book to sticker. You can see how crazy it gets. But going through and making different like little stickery spreads for stuff. I didn't do August yet, but I'm even just going ahead and doing like a monthly setup, even in the months that I don't really have any plans for yet. Like, thank gosh I don't have anything all the way out here in November, but going through and sticking some stickers in. So to decorate the month just a little bit. So I'm using like a little quote. I have a few rub-ons from 49 in Market. Not very many are left on these sheets, so trying to use these up I think is a good goal. And they're flat, so they work really well in the planner. To do it, I use the wax paper trick. So I lay wax paper down and then I put stickers until I like the placement of things, and then I will go back and like stick them on and rub them down or whatever the case may be. So to do this project, I need the wax paper. I need obviously my planner. I have a selection of different sticker books that I'm going through and using. This one came with my planner actually, so using those up, but you could also use any stickers that you have. I have a also little binder here that I got at Target that has some of my loose page things that I've ordered or supplies that I've pulled out of other sticker books that I think would work for this project. So everything is in one place when I go to design a page or mark out somebody's birthday or different appointments. I just flick through this, and it is somewhat chaotic, but it works well enough. At least it's all in one location. So I have all of that, and I have been taking apart old sticker books. So like you can see the Christmas things that I was trying to use up, and I just use old sticker paper and then peel everything off and kind of group it together. So these are all of like my holiday related things, and then I just punched holes in that and popped it in here so I can try to use these things up, and they're not in 16 different sticker books like 3/4 of the way used. So that is stuff that I have. In addition to that, I have nice pens that I like to work with, and I have this really cool little lap desk that I ordered, that my husband ordered for me for Christmas. So it has this small compartment where I can keep a little bag with whiteout and some pens and a pair of scissors and some washi tapes. I also have colorful pens and a ruler in here to help me out, and some sticky notes so that I can write down things that I'm not quite ready to make permanent. And all of this can live in here. And this doesn't quite fit in the basket situation, but I do have a separate little box for my sticker books and everything. In addition to that, I have a light. So I have this rechargeable desk light that I can put on to my stand, and this pops up so that I can have things leaning up, and then I clip my light onto it, and I can take this with me. So I have this on a little side table in my dining room where I can easily grab it, and I will probably keep my analog basket there as well so that I can grab these things and work on them when I feel like it. Or if in my planner I have something that I want to do a little goal setting, or I need to plan out some things, all of my stuff is together. I don't have to wander around. I can go get this whole kit and start working on it. So that is one thing. And I know we're already breaking the rules of the analog bag, but that's just the way I roll. So anyway, the desk can be great for other things as well. So like I said, I like to do paper crafts in my spare time, so I would use the desk for the same situation. And how I approach that is making myself a little kit. So I keep all of my little scrap cut-offs, anything that's smaller than a card size. I have this little kitchen organizer tray, and I just pop them in here. And I have even some very small pieces in the back and different cutouts of things, and lots of labels, and I keep those in another little dish with, I like to even use the leftover outlines on sticker sheets, and I put them on graph paper that I just randomly have pieces of graph paper too, and then I will create sort of my own labels that I can use. So I will choose out a selection of colors that I like, that I think work together, a couple of label pieces that I've pre-made, and then you can build up your own different tags and labels. So this is a box of things I already made from really small pieces of things that I wouldn't have otherwise probably used or reached for at all. So I have all of these, and then they're ready to go when I want to make cards. I have all of that, and I can also include in this different cards that I've pre-cut that are just blank. So they're a ready to go canvas. You can do them in the 3x4 if you still like to do pocket cards, and 4x6. So anything like that. I also sometimes use the back of packaging if I like the printing on it and think that is something I would use as a base. Oh, sorry. You can grab up a couple of mostly used up little sticker sheets that you want to try to finish, and then just putting things together that you might be more prone to reach for something that's pre-made like this than an entire thing of scraps. So I'll just put some things on the tray and then try to work my way through that and create things that I would actually use. So I have lots of fun samples and examples here, lots of little pieces that I would have otherwise not reached for. And now they're ready to go, ready-made little embellishments for my projects and different cards or whatever I want to do. So I think that that's something really fun. For that project, you just need maybe some glue, I like to use this tape too because it's not very messy for long, thin pieces. And again, this is something I would probably do on my lap desk. So making myself just a little tray. This is just a box top. And then I can use the scissors that I already have and the pens that I already have in there, as well as these two items, and just an assortment of scraps. And try to get some things used up. And I find that to be extremely relaxing and then very rewarding in that I have all of these little pieces ready to go when I sit down to do my memory keeping. They're there for me to use, and they're not making me feel guilty that I have like an entire drawer full of tiny bits of saved things. Okay, so next on my list of projects is to read more. So I have created a TBR for myself for this year, and like I said, it's living in my day planner. And one idea that I really liked whenever I was teaching in a middle school is they do a thing they call bookshelf bingo to encourage the students to read. So it's setting up a little bingo card with different categories. So like reading a graphic novel, something in a mystery genre, something with a one-word title. This is a book all about nature, a reluctant hero, fall in the title, realistic fiction, a title that starts with your initial, award winner, historical fiction, you get it. So whatever categories, you could look up somebody else's bingo or you could make up your own. I took a picture of theirs and then I changed a few because it was for a middle school, so some of those weren't going to be applicable. I also asked my daughter for suggestions. She really likes John Green, the author John Green, so she suggested I read one of his books. And she said she'd even lend me one, so that makes that easy. I put that on there. I'll take any suggestion that might be fun and encourage me to read a little bit more. I also follow several people who do a lot of reading, so I've been writing down just a list of ideas, and then I try to figure out what would be the category that it would fit on my bingo card right away, so that when I am looking for something or thinking about something, I can know, like, okay, this is gonna fall in on my card over here. And you can try to fill it all in, get blackout. You can go diagonally, you can go across, you can go down, however you want to do it. You can just try to fill in as many as you want. It's just kind of makes it a fun little game. to go along with that. So I would be having my current book, which is this book that my son got on our desert vacation last year. So this would be one that I'm saying is about nature, and that can go in here in my to-go box and with my scrapbooking supplies and all of those things. So I have something to read, something to do with my fingers, something to do with my planning, and that's really fun. I've also been keeping a little list of words or ideas right there as a bookmark with the title on it. I used to do this a lot, so I'll show you back in the day whenever I had this fun like commonplace book, and I used to write a bunch of quotes in it and take notes whenever I was reading, and I loved that. I used to work in a library, so there's some collage in there. I used to work in a library, so I kept a big long list of books that I wanted to read, and then I would cross them off, and in this book I would take notes. So that would look like this. So I would have a page that I'd keep with my book, and I'd write down words that I wanted to go back and look up. Really helps you increase your vocabulary if that is something that you want to do. You want to learn more words or have a little bit more depth in your vocabulary. I recommend just write down things you're not 100% sure what it is or what the context was when you were reading, and go back and look them up later, and just save the list so that you can see, oh yeah, now I totally know what that means. I also would write down little quotes that I liked, and then on the other side I would have different quotes that I just picked up from other places. Sometimes do a little collage. I think that's a piece of wrapping paper that I loved. I used to do a bunch of quotes to use up different rub-ons that I had before they went bad, and even things like that I would print out. So these are like instructions from the Dalai Lama on how to live a successful life. So you can kind of do a commonplace book that could be in addition to reading. It can easily go along with all of these other projects where I have stickers and different scraps of paper that I would want to use up. So you can tuck all of this stuff together. That you could have just one that is only vocabulary, and you could write the definition next to it. You could keep the quotes, thoughts and ideas, things that you think about too while you're reading. So it's a little bit of that personal curriculum, a way to study what you're reading and find a little bit deeper meaning in what you're doing, right? So that can go in our box. Next, of course, I do a lot of stitch work, fiber arts and sewing. So like I mentioned, you might want to start with a little kit and do some hand sewing to create gift projects. Or for me, I have this little cross stitch that I started, I don't really remember when, way back in the day whenever I was young, and I've never finished it. I keep working on it and I keep putting it down, but I'm going to try to bring it to top of mind this year by throwing it in my little project analog basket and really finish this up. So the idea is to do these pre-printed butterflies. They came on this Aida cloth like this, and then I printed on some of these yellow butterflies to cover up like little stains that had gotten on there. So I may or may not go in and cross stitch all of these too. We'll see what it looks like when it's all finished. I think I would like to add at least some detail to them. So I need to have my little 6-inch hoop, which this is a very achievable size for taking with you and sitting with. Like, it's easy to hold in your hand. I would put my garden journal in there, but it's huge and I don't think it will fit in the basket. And plus, I think I have to have more intention with that. So this is something I would just pick up. I can do it in 30 minutes. I can do a couple of stitches in 30 minutes or an hour while I'm watching TV or just killing some time. So you would need some needles. There's a selection of needles for your project. You will probably need like small scissors, so embroidery scissors. These little tiny ones work great. And I have a needle book, little needle and thread book that I made. It's simply a piece of felt with a few bits of batting inside, or you could use also felt. And then I created a little pocket that I can stick the colors of floss that I'm working with. You could also tuck your scissors in there. It has needles and some of the floss that I've already pulled apart into smaller strands groupings, so that you can have that and just tuck that together. I use up for these smaller projects, whenever I'm teaching, people cut off a lot of different threads and I just keep them in this small case. And then I can go back through and I can use that stuff up first. Try to use these little pieces to not waste things. I also make little floss kits that you can purchase along with, if you want to do like a little kit. I do offer these like snowflake kits, and it's just a ring from mason jars and the backing of that, the little lid piece too. I have a piece of batting in there. This is a piece of muslin, and then I wrap them around and you can stitch on here. So I have them pre-stamped with a stamp. So similar to what I'm doing here, where it came pre-stamped with an image, you can create that yourself, and we'll do that in the next video, how to create little doodle cloths with a jumping off point of stamps. So using some stays on ink and just a shape that allows you to experiment. So here are a few stars that I have, and then you need very little embroidery floss, and they're definitely easy to travel with. If you're somebody that commutes by train or by bus, maybe you even want to have something rather than scrolling through your phone that you could take with you. These are very transportable. And then you just practice a few stitches to color them in, but you already have a little base that helps you decide. So you can see here, it's just to use it as your hoop. I have that muslin stretched across the canning ring, and then a rubber band holding that in place. And because it's a very small surface, that works, okay? I wouldn't do a larger thing. You can just do these. But this is very easy. You could do no image, or like I said, we can stamp images on there. You could sketch something on too. And then that is something that is really easy to take with you. And these can turn into little ornament gifts. So you could attach a hook then onto it and put a nice piece of paper on the back to finish it off, and then it can be an ornament gift. You could also put them on little jars. If you're somebody that makes jellies to give as gifts, this would be super cute and decorative to include in that and make it even more personal. Oh, one other thing you might want is a little piece of wax to draw your threads across. That is something that you could or could not include in that kit. So all of these things can go in my analog box. And now I have a really nice selection of stuff that I can work on and work with rather than reaching for my phone. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and next time we will be working on creating a few of these doodle cloths. I'll show you exactly how I create these ornaments if you'd like to make some of your own to include in your analog box or bag. All right, have a great day.
Determination in our eyes will rise above it all.